morning light filtered through the curtains just before 6, casting a soft glow over the bedroom. Waking up to this familiar routine, my body was conditioned by months of early mornings and daily jogs around the park nearby. I stretched lazily in bed for a moment. Before getting out with a sense of purpose. A quick glance at the weather app on my phone showed clear skies ahead. Perfect conditions for my usual run. Dressing quickly, I stepped outside into the crisp morning air. The quiet streets were still mostly empty as I made my way to the park. Noticing more construction barriers along the route, I adjusted and veered off onto a smaller path, one less traveled, but equally scenic. The early morning joggers were few and far between as I made my way through the park. Passing people walking their dogs or jogging in small groups, we exchanged friendly nods as we crossed paths. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of blooming flowers from nearby gardens. Each step felt rhythmic and comforting, a familiar routine that brought peace. By the time I returned home to change for work, the city had already begun to stir. Rushing through my morning preparations, I arrived at the office just as the first rays of sunlight painted golden streaks across the sky. My desk was waiting in its usual spot, surrounded by papers and documents needing sorting. The day started normally enough. Sitting down, I began going through emails, responding to messages from clients and colleagues. However, a commotion broke out near the break room, where several colleagues were gathered around a computer screen, looking worried. Curiosity piqued. I approached cautiously to find that one of our coworkers had fallen ill over the weekend and couldn't complete an important project task on time. Without hesitation, I stepped in and offered help, efficiently taking on the extra workload. Mid-morning brought another interruption, a notification about a sudden meeting at another department for a critical discussion. Leaving my desk immediately to avoid delays, I hurried through the hallway, only to bump into a pile of papers scattered across the floor. A junior colleague who was walking behind me tripped over these papers and fell, scraping their knee on the edge of an open binder. Paying up quickly, I rushed to the meeting, where we found that a new project proposal had been introduced, requiring immediate input from various departments. I contributed decisively during the discussion, providing insightful suggestions based on past experience and current trends in urban development. Back at my desk, there was a message from another colleague asking for help moving a heavy file cabinet that had been blocking access to an important storage area. With a nod of agreement, we managed to move it into place without incident, but the effort left my colleague's eyes wide with surprise. As lunchtime approached, I grabbed a quick meal from a nearby cafe before returning to the office. On my way back, I noticed deciding to adjust my plans accordingly, I mapped out an alternate path around potential trouble spots. The afternoon was spent wrapping up loose ends and preparing for tomorrow's tasks. As I exited work late in the evening, I encountered a lost tourist who seemed overwhelmed by city directions. With a gentle nudge towards the right street, signs and landmarks, they thanked me profusely before continuing on their way. Returning to my quiet apartment, thoughts briefly touched upon the day's minor mishaps, but quickly moved past them as I settled into the quieter hours of the city.